98% of all life on Earth follows a predictable blueprint, but 2 billion years ago, something else was writing the code. You are taught to view the history of life as a tree. A gentle, upward progression where every fossil is a logical ancestor to a creature breathing today. This is a comforting fiction. The fossil record is not a family tree. It is a crime scene. A graveyard of impossible biological glitches that defy every known law of zoology. In the deep shale deposits of Gabon, Africa, the bedrock holds a terrifying secret. The stone pulses with the remnants of the Francevillian Biota. They look like clockwork gears made of petrified mud. They are 2.1 billion years old. This number must disturb your sense of reality. They predate the accepted origin of complex, multicellular life by 400 million years. That is a chasm of time longer than the gap between the first roaming dinosaurs and modern human civilization. Within that dark expanse, undocumented evolution happened in the shadows. They are biological orphans. Lineages of complex life appeared out of the primordial void. They built themselves from iron and geometric symmetry. They dominated their abyssal domain. Then they vanished. They left no descendants. They share zero DNA with anything crawling, swimming, or flying on this planet right now. If these creatures were too complex for their time, who, or what, was driving the sudden acceleration of their design? You must discard your understanding of human biological supremacy to comprehend the answer. Before we decode the environment that forged them, look at the anatomy of the anomalies themselves. Consider the Ferrodiscis, a concentrated iron organ found deep within these ancient forms. A metallic sphere suspended in translucent tissue. It hoards heavy metals for a purpose that confounds modern science. We will return to this iron sphere. For now, understand that these organisms did not grow like plants or modern animals. They were engineered. They present a radical architecture demanded by an unforgiving world. To find the mechanism of their survival, we must look inside the machinery of a corrupted evolutionary code. We must perform an autopsy on stones that have not seen the light of a star since the Earth was young. The Typhloesis does not behave like an animal. It operates like a submerged weapons platform. Suspended in its ghostly pale flesh is the Ferrodiscis. This is not a digestive tract. It is an internal harpoon launcher. A predatory system where the mouth is a secondary thought, replaced by a hydraulic ejection mechanism. It lacks a standard muscular frame. Instead, it relies on hemolymph, a pressurized hydraulic fluid that inflates the inner chambers to generate movement. When it hunts, it deploys a proboscis-tipped mouth, a hydraulic organic crane arm. It extends outward with lethal, mechanical precision. Inside this structure lies the radula, a biological conveyor belt of serrated knives. It strikes at a speed defying soft tissue mechanics. Faster than a pneumatic piston shattering glass. A biological harpoon is terrifying. A weapon of this magnitude requires a targeting system that defies the logic of its era. Enter the Tullimonstrum. A chassis measuring exactly 35 centimeters in length. The size of a baguette, carrying the lethality of an alien nightmare. It possesses no standard visual cortex. It sees through long-stalked eyes projecting rigidly from its sides. It utilizes opsin receptors, organic optical sensors processing low-light data in the silt. It processes a 360-degree panoramic distortion of muddy water. This is an advanced, prehistoric surveillance drone operating in an alien abyss. It calculates distance. It tracks the microscopic movements of prey through the dark water. It locks on. It maneuvers through the void without fins. It utilizes an undulating ribbon-like membrane to propel its chassis forward. It dictates the terms of survival in a hostile ocean. But to grasp the sheer impossibility of these biological machines, you must look past the macroscopic fossilized flesh and descend into the atomic architecture of the stone itself, where researchers scanning the 2-billion-year-old Gabon shale measured isotopic zinc enrichment just to prove these geometric shapes held life, detecting the microscopic chemical ghost of a metabolism that flickered and died before the continents formed their modern borders. The atomic ghost reveals a staggering truth about the limits of flesh. Look closer at the Namacalathus. A creature resembling a tree made of viscera, anchored to the abyssal floor. Moving the perspective from the soft tentacles down into the stalk reveals a calcified skeleton. Translucent bone white encasing dark crimson fluid. The stalk is pierced by geometric windows. These are not random organic holes. They form precise heptagonal and hexagonal openings. 7-sided and 6-sided symmetry carved into living bone. These are reinforced portholes. A calcified biological bunker utilizing geometric pressure release valves to survive the deep. Mathematicians look at 7-sided symmetry and see artificial design. It does not occur in standard biological division. Bilateral symmetry, the master architecture of the modern world, is absent here. Nature experimented with radial geometry that feels artificial. It resembles the casing of an industrial turbine more than it resembles a living creature. The hard parts of the Namacalathus function as a chassis. They protect the delicate internal organs from a world trying to crush them. This answers the paradox of their impossible complexity. What accelerated their design? The environment. The abyss offered no mercy. It forced soft flesh to become living hardware just to withstand the crushing hostility of a boiling ocean. Every gear, every hydraulic limb, every stalk tie was a desperate calibration to keep the void from collapsing their cells. We see these calibrations across the entire ediacaran and Ryacian spectrum. Organisms abandoning the concept of soft flesh. They turned to heavy metals. They integrated sulfur and iron into their membranes. They became chimeras of biology and geology. The paleontology field terms them enigmatic. That word is a shield. It protects the human mind from the reality that biology can mimic industrial engineering without our input. The Francevillian Biota represents the absolute zenith of this biomechanical convergence. Their bodies were built to conquer. The crucible that forged this hardware was the Ryacian period. A planet-wide tectonic upheaval that cooked the oceans. The environment is the ultimate antagonist. To exist here is to wage war against physics. Descend into this ancient sea. Feel the hygrostatic pressure, a crushing force exceeding 5,000 pounds per square inch. It is the weight of an entire mountain range pressing down on a single inch of skin. It compresses soft organic matter into black, metallic pyrite. The temperature against the flesh fluctuates without warning. Boiling thermal vents erupt into freezing, oxygen-starved currents. There is no sunlight. The absence of light here does not just blind you. It suffocates your spatial awareness. It leaves only the physical sensation of heavy, displaced water pressing against your viscera. There is no cycle of day and night. Listen to the dark. It is punctuated only by the low-frequency thrum of tectonic plates grinding together. A planetary heartbeat. Above it, the sharp, hollow clicking of calcified tentacle trees brushing against each other in the deep-sea currents. The scale of this ecosystem mocks human comprehension. These fossils are older than the Himalayas by a factor of 40. Along the sea floor, the Dickinsonia slides through the silt. A flat, ribbed entity resembling a living bathroom rug. It digests the microbial mat beneath it through osmosis. It creeps across the ocean floor with the mindless determination of an automated cleaning drone. They existed in this oppressive dark from 2.1 billion years ago through the Ediacaran and into the Carboniferous. Deep time stretches without end here. These entities were not failed experiments. They were the ultimate survivors. They weathered the Great Oxygenation event. Oxygen was a toxic gas that rusted the oceans. It bonded with free iron, creating a slow rain of rust that buried the abyssal floor in metallic snow. It corroded their iron bodies. They adapted. They endured cataclysms that cracked the crust of the earth. Yet, they met their end. They fell to the very evolutionary processes that created them. They died alongside failed relatives like the asymmetrical Proarticulata. Organisms that utilized glide symmetry, a biological zipper merging two asymmetrical halves into a fractal existence. Nature decided their geometry was obsolete. The biological hardware could no longer sustain the metabolic cost. The Earth changed. The oceans cooled. The rules of survival shifted. Nature deleted their files. It scrubbed their mechanical blueprints from the genetic registry. It left them entombed in stone. We construct a narrative of biological supremacy. You assume life evolves in a straight line. You believe it reaches an ultimate peak with humanity. The Francevillian Biota shatters this arrogance. It proves that profound biological complexity, mechanical precision, and radical engineering existed 2 billion years ago. And then nature threw them away. We are not the first peak of intelligence or complex design. We are just the most recent iteration of a system that builds and destroys without sentiment. The geometry of the Namacalathus and the surveillance optics of the Tullimonstrum were erased from the face of the Earth. But nature does not waste material. It recycles the corrupted code. Remember the Typhloesis. Remember the Ferrodiscis. That organ, hoarding concentrated iron in the dark of a prehistoric ocean, vanished from the morphological record. The creature died out. But the iron remained. The exact same elemental iron, pulled from the primordial waters to build a prehistoric harpoon mechanism, was repurposed. Through deep time, the code rewrote itself. That ancient iron binds the oxygen in your blood today. Hemoglobin, an iron cage designed to trap oxygen within your veins. The heavy metal that powers your own heart is the recycled scrap of a deleted, 2-billion-year-old machine. You are not the pinnacle of an isolated, pristine lineage. You are a biological patchwork. You are built from the remnants of ancient, alien hardware that nature discarded. Your viscera runs on the ghosts of the Ryacian Sea. The arrogance of the human form dissolves when you realize your blood shares a chemical memory with a monster that stalked the abyss before the continents were born. You view your body as a temple. It is a junkyard of recycled evolutionary weaponry. If nature could build an iron-powered hunter hundreds of millions of years ago, perfect its design, and then delete it from the face of the Earth, what other unacceptable blueprints are being written right now in the dark, crushing parts of the ocean we have never touched?